What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York, calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we are here with Vrsty. Thank you so much for your time today, man. It's great to talk to you on the phone.
Hey man, thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's so great to have you here. Congratulations. A lot of great things have been happening for Vrsty between signing with Spinefarm Records, the release of Cloud City. It's great to really watch you guys rise to prominence and represent New York very, very well, I gotta say.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I hope we represent New York well.
Yeah, you're doing right. You're doing all right. You're doing all right. And I can't picture us. I can't picture you guys. Without the signature look of AK from Black Wolf Imaging's music video style as well.
Oh yeah, man. He's like honestly like one of the best like in New York City.
Yeah. Huge shout out to AK. He supports this channel as well very much. So got to give him a quick shout out.
Yeah.
But being that Cloud City, you released this as an EP, could this serve as like maybe a clear representation of what, maybe the next full-length Vrsty album will sound like? Or is this just kind of like a one-off sort of thing in testing the waters?
I don't know. Maybe I have this really weird thing where I kind of never want to put out the same record twice. So it might be a little bit of the same. It might be a completely different thing. I don't actually know. I'm so random with how I do things.
Yeah. Do you ever go into it with a preconceived idea how you want it to sound like, or is it kind of like a lot of improvising and a lot of trial and error?
Nah, it's a lot of random things. Like I usually write and record all the music at home, and I just write random guitar riffs and stuff like that and start putting together a song, and then I go back and sing over it, and then we send it to a producer. And I think it's when we're in the studio that we actually like kind of pick apart like what we want to change and stuff. But there's no real plans for anything that we do.
Okay, I guess that works out for the best, right? If you revolve too much around a plan, you'll end up being disappointed one way or another, right?
Yeah, I feel like it is good to have a plan, but sometimes having one can also make you feel like you're stuck in this box where you feel like you have to hit everything in that box and just not go outside of it. So it's kind of good just being like very sporadic. So.
Yeah, definitely. And I consider like your music to be a little bit experimental. I mean, just from listening to the EP alone, to have a song like Cloud City, but then to have a song like Massive, and then have like all these different vibes. It seems like trying new things is almost what makes Vrsty, right?
Yeah, man. I don't know how else to explain it other than I'm traditionally like a pop R&B singer. I grew up on like Michael Jackson and Prince and like Frank Sinatra and all that stuff, and then I got into guitar and just started writing random things. And when when it comes time to write music, it's very much of how do we feel about writing this versus that. Where instead of being like, oh well, we're this genre, we should do this, we kind of like dabbling in and out of different genres and stuff. So there definitely is a lot of experimentation in our music.
Yeah, definitely, and I could see the R&B influence in there as well. Like, from talking to my fellow, like, metal nerds and, through the community and everything, showing them you guys, like, there is, like, some reminiscence to, like, a lot of modern rock bands with bands like maybe Dance Gavin Dance or Issues or something like that. But I feel like the future is genreless, and I think Vrsty is a good example of that.
Yeah, I honestly feel like, especially over this whole pandemic thing, the lines within genres has become a little blurred. Now you have like MGK putting out pop punk records and Miley Cyrus putting out rock records, and eventually, just like you said, this is going to be a whole genreless thing. So you may as well just have fun writing whatever you feel like writing, and just put it out.
Absolutely. And does everybody in the band like have different inspirations as well? Because having the R&B background, I'd imagine you never would have thought being on the same record label as like some black metal bands, right?
Yeah, it is kind of different. We all definitely have different influences, but that usually doesn't get put into the song to the very end. So we usually just have the song, like I'll have the song written, and then we'll put like things here and there and add like different influences. But to answer, to also go back and answer, it is super weird to be on this label because I absolutely love Spinefarm, but their roster is so all over the place. It's kind of weird. Like they have like the heavies, and then they have us. It's like, okay, what do we fit here?
Yeah, well, I think it's awesome that they have that. It goes to show that everybody's welcome on that label, and huge shout out to Spinefarm as well. Great people working with them.
Yeah, they're actually amazing people.
Yeah, and they're so like into the music as well. Like every time there's a Spinefarm band playing, I'm always expecting to see them there. They're always around. They know what's up.
Yeah, they're like they kind of remind me of like old school labels that were labels but were still like fans of music. Like I have conversations with them where we're supposed to be talking about like business things, and we'll go on entire rants about like, oh, we heard this new song like in this band and blah blah blah. And it's like, oh man, I'm talking to someone who's literally just like me. We're just fans of music. They're just on the industry side, and I'm on the artist side.
Yeah, and you got to work well together. So,
Yeah.
yep. Great things lying ahead. Is that now when it comes to like the lyricism behind it, like has there ever been a time where maybe lyrics or a concept could determine the inspiration of the music, or do you need the music before you start laying down lyrics?
No, I'm the kind of person I need the music before the lyrics. I'm a freestyle singer, so I don't actually write down any of like my lyrics or melodies. I'll finish a whole instrumental, and then I'll loop it over and over and over, and I'll start freestyling melodies and lyrics over it until like I find something that sticks. But usually, once I hear the instrumental, I get a feeling from it, and so I'll know, be like, all right, well, this is what I feel from the song, so this is what I should probably stick to.
A freestyle singer. Is there a song on this EP where you just came up with the lyrics like right out of the beat, as you know, while the record button was on?
Pretty much all of them, but the main one would be Shameless. So Shameless was actually written in about 3 hours. So that song wasn't supposed to be on this record. It was just a breakdown that I had, and I showed it to my producer, and then he wrote like the pop part that came after it. And he was like, well, I'm not sure if we're really feeling this. And I came up with the melody and lyrics on the spot. And he was like, all right, we're recording now. And we did the whole song in about like 3 hours.
That's awesome. That is very impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. But last time I heard about a song being written in 3 hours was Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses. So.
And one of the biggest songs, like, in the history of the world.
Yep. Isn't it awesome where, like, you create something and just, like, an hour ago it didn't exist, and then, now it does? It's, like, so insane on how just organic the art can fall like that.
It's absolutely insane. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've left the studio and have had a demo of a song where when I went into the song, I had maybe one guitar riff, and now I have an entire song that was not there a couple of hours ago. It's insane.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about it. And how do you know, here comes the difficult question, how do you know when the song is done, though?
That, I don't actually know. I'm more of like a feeling kind of person. I will listen to a song while I'm in the studio over and over and over, and I'll sing all the parts. And then I won't listen to it for a bit after it's done, and I'll come back to it maybe, let's say, like a week later and listen to it. And if I'm vibing with it, then I'm like, all right, this is done. If not, if there's like a word or something that kind of throws off a whole sentence, then I'll just be like, all right, I got to go back in and do this or change that kind of thing.
Okay. It seems like there's what I find unique about what you're telling me about the songwriting process is you have like a technical methodology behind it, but you also aren't like enslaved to it where you kind of let things happen organically at the same time.
Yeah, oh man, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. I feel like that's the way it should be though. Like you can't, you have to love what you do and want to like make it sound great, but also you can't get wrapped up in it too much because you can't overthink songs and overdo things, and then it just becomes no fun.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to have technical excellence, and you kind of, for lack of better words, like a theoretical element behind it, just so you know what you're doing. You don't want to, get lost in madness, but at the same time, you don't want to be too theoretical, otherwise you'll kind of be enslaved and narrow-minded, so.
Exactly, 100%. I agree. That's correct.
Yeah, thank you. I was totally winging that too, may I just add.
Really? That was so good. That was like perfect.
Well, you know what? You're a freestyle singer. I'm a freestyle journalist. When I write a review on the next full-length album, I'll just totally freestyle it.
There you go. Boom. We're just going to have the most fun just talking random things.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. I'll get an email from the PR being like, what the hell is this? Is this a good review or a bad review?
One day. Up to interpretation.
Exactly. Open to interpretation. Is that what your lyrics are too? Or being that, because I do consider like the lyrics in the music, like to Massive or Dig or even Will, like it almost seems like, there's an emotion that's channeled into it. Do you try to maybe convey a certain message, or is that not even like maybe a priority in the songwriting?
Yeah, so that's that's my one thing. Once I do have like a theme or like a topic, I definitely try to make sure that like I sing it with the most emotion that I can, because I do want people to listen to it and not just hear the song, but I want them to feel it. Like, oh man, like this is a real thing. And so like with my songs, like I definitely try to make sure that once I have a theme, I go like super hard with it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's room for interpretation, but I feel like your lyrics, I feel like you approach it from both a very literal and very metaphorical standpoint, right?
Yeah. I try to do a little bit of both.
Awesome. And when it comes to get that emotional feeling that you channel into the music, like, you mentioned you hear the music and sometimes, you get an idea right on the spot, but like, do you almost kind of need to be in a certain place at a certain time in order to like resonate with the music? Or does the idea just come when you least expect it?
It really depends with me. Sometimes I've heard songs and I've had no ideas, and then I'll leave the room for a bit and instantly get an idea. And sometimes it just comes in. So it's really random. I can't say like that. There's a right place for me to be at, because I also do most of my stuff at home. So I have, this is like really comfortable for me. But it's very random with me. It either comes or it doesn't.
I'd imagine inspiration also strikes at the most inconvenient times as well, right?
100%. I've literally had inspiration for guitar riffs while I was driving, and I'm like, well, I have no guitar and I can't do anything here.
Yeah, that's why I think there should be a law where artists cannot be pilots. Like, everybody was so stoked about Bruce Dickinson like flying a plane, and I was like, I hope he's not like thinking of riff ideas as he's like approaching the tarmac.
I would have never thought about that, but that's super interesting, and it's super true.
Yeah. Like, I feel like if somebody's, signing up for flight school, are you an artist or a musician? They're like, yes. Next, you're fired.
Yeah, next. Yeah, you're fired, man. You can't be thinking about riffs the entire time.
Just imagine too, they leave the intercom on the plane on as they're like recording riffs.
Oh man, that'd be something.
That's like the Hard Times article when they had the hardcore stewardess being like, this flight is dedicated to all you real motherfuckers in coach class.
Oh man, I remember that. Hard Times puts out some of the best articles, man. I read some of those things sometimes and I legitimately start crying. Like, how did someone come up with this?
You know what's funny too is I know their work is satire, but it's so real. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like once you see the Hard Times, like, all right, I know this is a joke, but it's so good every time. You can't help but get into it.
Yeah, you just get lost in their work. I got to tell you that they're my main source of news during this whole pandemic. I feel like they're more accurate than a lot of mainstream media.
I agree, man. Mainstream media is trash.
Yep. Yeah, so huge shout out to Hard Times. Did you see it? They had the best Thanksgiving articles I've ever seen in my life, too.
I definitely didn't see that. I haven't. My whole Thanksgiving, my whole November, December now, my whole November was like booked straight through. Like, to the point where I had like almost no time to breathe.
Oh, really? What
Yeah, man.
What are you checking out in November?
So I mean, we with the whole release coming up for the record, there was just a bunch of stuff I had to do, and then some of our songs got picked up by by Octane, and so I had to do even more press, and then I started writing the next record, which is kind of crazy because we have too many songs right now, but I'm always writing. So I think we have about I want to say maybe 13 or 14 songs that are done that I have aside from the EP, and I started writing another 12. So I've literally just been working on music nonstop, all of November.
Hell yeah, that's how you should be doing. That's a good time. This is the time to get creative, right?
Yeah, man, this is the perfect time.
Yeah, and when shows do return again, we're gonna enter a new age renaissance. I think we're gonna enter the best era of music in world history.
I honestly think that I had this conversation the other day, and I was like, I think that's gonna happen. I am kind of afraid because there's always a fear of all right, well, shows are starting up. We do still have to be safe, but I also am kind of excited because I know now knowing what a world without shows is it's terrible.
Yeah,
everyone is hungry to go back to shows.
The earth without the word art is just for reasons.
That is also true.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, and people are worrying about being safe, at the concerts when they return, but that's just like with anything. Like after, the tragedy of the Paris attacks or what happened to Dimebag, like,
Yeah.
people were scared to go to shows, but we overcame it. Like I remember in 2015, I couldn't enter a concert venue with a hoodie.
Oh yeah. That's so true.
So,
Times, man. Yeah.
so things will return. And now you'll be required to wear a hoodie and a mask at the show.
Yeah. You'll be required to wear all the things that you weren't supposed to before.
Yeah, just imagine everybody at a concert in a biohazard suit and then like going to see Biohazard. That'd actually be pretty awesome.
That honestly would kind of be awesome and hilarious at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fun. I already know that there's going to be some sort of like gimmick band that is going to do that. So,
Oh, that probably already is.
yep, I heard that
That probably already is.
I heard that there's already 2 bands that are trying to trademark the name COVID-19.
Oh man, what an industry.
What a world, right? What a world that we're in.
Yeah, what a time to be alive.
And I have 2 more questions for you. But
Yeah.
being you guys are from Rockland County, right?
So we're from New York City, like city. So I'm from Harlem, but I currently live in Brooklyn. The rest of my guys are like Manhattan, Long Island, and stuff like that. The only one who isn't is our drummer. He's from Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. I thought for some reason maybe it was because of AK, but like I thought maybe that you guys were based in Rockland at some point. But being a New York City band, it's great to talk with a New York band. Do you think like even before the pandemic struck and everything like that, were you guys kind of like associated with the scene? Like were you playing with bands? I feel like there are a small handful of bands that kind of go along with what you guys have done, maybe such as In Loving Memory or maybe even Jinx. Or that's a little bit heavier. Like, is there kind of like a scene that you're associated with, or is the goal right now for Varsity to really get outside the 5 boroughs to spread the name out a little bit?
I don't know if we were really. I mean, we did play shows within the scene, obviously because this, it's our hometown, and you have to represent. So we did play these shows, but we spent most of our time touring. So we were almost never in New York City. I think our goal was always to, not just be. It's good to be a big band or represent your city, but it just felt better to represent our city outside of the city. Like, hey, we're from New York City. Let's go spread this everywhere. And so the goal for us was just like to just go everywhere we can and let everyone know that we're from New York City and this is what we're about and blah blah blah. So we were associated with the scene to an extent, but we did spend most of our time touring.
Okay, and that's actually a really good way of doing it because like especially like. New York City has a phenomenal scene. I don't care what everybody else says. You can't change my mind. New York City has a great scene. But, like, it's not like you cross the George Washington Bridge and all of a sudden it's Ozfest. You have to kind of, like, you kind of have to look for it. But you don't want to be, I think being called a hometown hero is really almost kind of like a double-edged sword in a way.
It kind of is, man. Like, and that's a conversation I've had with, like, some friends. Like, it's cool to be the biggest band in New York City, but don't you just want to be one of the biggest bands, period? Like, you should take what you learned from the scene in New York City and spread that everywhere else. Like, hometown hero is cool, but if you're just stuck in your hometown, then did you actually ever do anything?
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of pointless in a way. I feel like being a hometown hero is like... again, it's like there's no evolution with that. I think, and with touring too, I'd imagine when you're on the road and you're touring and seeing different places and meeting different people, it also inspires your art in a way, one way or another.
Man, I love touring so much. I can't tell you how many people I've met or like just had conversations with, like, and small conversations, like maybe like a 5-minute conversation at a bar, and that conversation has lasted me like forever.
Yeah. It's amazing where inspiration can strike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time. Great to finally interview you guys. I was so excited, whenever you guys would be playing. So congratulations on all the success.
Dude, thank you so much. This is fun. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Is there just anything else that you would like to promote in terms of like maybe some live stream performances to hold people over, new merch, anything else you would like to plug?
Yeah, so we have our website. If you guys want to pick up anything, support us, you can go to www.vrsty.nyc. All of our merch and our record is up there, so you can pick it up. You can also find our record Cloud City on any streaming service, pretty much that you like. And we should have a live stream up pretty soon for you. We're not supposed to talk about it, but hey, I don't care. So we're doing it anyway.
All right. Well, this will be uploaded by midnight, so.
Sounds good.
All right. But thank you so much, everybody. Joey of Vrsty. Be sure to check out their Cloud City EP out on Spinefarm Records. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.